Okay, so the 5 most important tips for pedagogy comes to coaching 6th graders in basketball. First, I think you need to speak clear and with confidence. I think you need to give off the idea that you've had a lot of experience with the game of basketball and the different skills that are within it. Just make it seem like you know what you're talking about. And two, I would say when you're breaking down the skills, sometimes in basketball they can be pretty complex, like shooting or layups, or with 6th graders, I would think. So when you're breaking down a skill, make sure that you have keywords. Sometimes the critical elements can be a lot of content, so simplifying it for your students would really help them. Things like make sure your hand's in the cookie jar, make sure you've got opposite arm, opposite leg when you're shooting layups. Make sure that we're always in a good stance, triple threat position, stuff like that. I would make sure that you have a practice plan before you go into the actual practice. This will just help you with the time management aspect, as well as with just knowing what you want to transition to in next. And you can adjust accordingly depending on how the students, or how I keep saying students, how your players will do the task that you have planned. So maybe they're struggling with the first task, so you can focus more on the first task. And I would have additional options too, like if that happens, so you could have different tasks have different situations for the actual first task that you have set up. So like if they're struggling with layups, instead of going into distance shooting, you could have different options for a layup, whether it's standing right beside the goal, no jump, or just 2 people at each goal, stuff like that. I think for number 4, demos would be good. I think that you need to show the students what you're actually looking for. And if they can see it from you at different angles, like shooting drills, where your elbow is, or how your knees bend, or how much you jump, stuff like that, where you fall through. And if you're doing a task, maybe have the players walk through it first, especially with basketball. Sometimes the drills that you can do get complex, so you could have the students walk through it first so they could get an idea, then maybe half speed, then maybe full speed. And when they see you do it from a different angle, they can get an idea of get an idea of what their body should be doing too. They can take those ideas that you gave them and put it to their own. And I think the last thing might not be the least most important, but it's really important for when you're running a practice. You need to have control, have their attention. So like when you're talking and breaking down a skill, make sure the basketballs aren't bouncing around, make sure there's no distractions. This will lead to the drills that you're going to do. They'll be sharper and more crisp. And I just think it would lead to an overall higher success rate of your students taking and getting more out of the class.